Today we're going to talk about the 15-minute time frame, how I'm using the 15-minute time frame, what I'm working on to maximize my profits. Now, I'm going to be focused on futures, but this is going to work for futures, equities, for everything. This is going to work with the idea of support, resistance, and how you should be entering a trade, exiting a trade, and overall your thought process going into that trade and being like, hey, at the end of the day, we're looking to maximize our profit potential. I'm going to talk about it here in this video, so make sure you guys stay tuned. What's going on, guys? Patrick here, and today we're here in my brand new studio. It's all dialed in. I'll make a video soon talking about what I got going on and the whole setup and all that. But for now, let's talk about the 15-minute time frame and how I'm using the 15-minute time frame to make sure that when I'm entering a trade, a winning trade, when I'm entering a trade, that I'm maximizing my profit potential, and that's what trading is all about. At the end of the day, no one's 100% right about the trades. You know, it's all about getting that percentage like 60, 50%. A trader who is 50% correct, who is right about 50% of his trades, can be very, very profitable. And you will see that a lot of bigger traders are profitable with only a 50 to 60% win ratio. Even if you have a 40% win ratio, you can still be a profitable trader. I think if you had a 30%, as long as your winners are eclipsing your losers, that's all that matters. Today, I want to talk about how I'm focused on the 15-minute time frame to make sure that I'm maximizing my profit. And I'm going to show you guys here on the chart exactly what I'm looking for and how I'm doing it and all that fun stuff. So let's dive into the charts. All right, guys, so now we are looking at the chart. This is the 5-minute chart. The 3-minute chart is normally what I'm looking for in my entries. This morning is a perfect example. I have a trade open right now. I'm going to break it down for you guys. So this morning, what did I do? First thing this morning, I shorted here at the 82s. Now, looking at this, I saw a little bit of support kind of from there from pre-market. We bounced off that 75s. I ended up getting out for a small profit there. And guess what happened? We got all the way down here to the 67s. Now, when I look at this 3-minute chart, it's kind of just like all over the place to the point that I'm like, oh man, I'm looking at this smaller time frame, you know, and I'm like, oh, you know, it's dropping, I'm short here. Okay, I'm gonna get, oh, it's bouncing there, I'm gonna get covered. But guess what happens? It drops all the way down here to the 69s. And that's a much better profit target overall. Now, looking at this small time frame, obviously, when we look at the small time frame, you get a lot of noise. You get a lot of just kind of up, down, all around. And it's hard to really identify a clear, beautiful trend or a beautiful profit target. Now, if I go to the bigger time frames, this is what we're focused on right now, the 15-minute time frame, it's much easier to see what? It's much easier to see support and resistance. Support and resistance. Guess what? Okay, we bounced the other day from the 60s, well, this was actually last night, futures here, and then we pulled back again to that support, and then we rallied up here. Now, looking at the small time frame, it's hard to see exactly what we just identified by just looking at it. You know, just bam, we identified exactly where that support, where that resistance is, and where our overall profit targets and entries and all that should take place. Now, currently, I'm in this trade at the 85s, right here at the 85s. You can see how we push back. This is what I want to really identify, again, for the profit management. We want to maximize our profits, right? Maximizing our profits. Now, this morning, if you look again at the smaller, let's look at the smaller time frame. Look at the smaller time frame to prove the point here. We'll go back to the 5-minute time frame. All right, we're zooming in. Guess what? Let's say I get long. Let's say I'm like, okay, I see there's some support here, right? I'm like, I want to get long. We touched here before. I want to buy here at the 68, 70 area. Now, on a small time frame, when I'm only zoomed in, if I'm like this, I'm like really zoomed in here on this small time frame. Let's go. If I'm really zoomed in here, right, I'm totally focused, small time frame. I get in here at the 70s. I'm going to take profit probably up here in the 78 area. That makes sense because it looks like, okay, there's resistance, all this resistance in this area. So obviously I'm going to take most of my profit pretty much at that 80 area. But guess what? when I go to the 15-minute time frame, how much easier is it for me to look at this and be like, wow, support, support. Really, the next big resistance isn't till up here at the 95 area. So that would have been like from here to there. We're looking at this as like, this is an entire move, right? It went from 65 to the 95. So I know, bam, 65 is my support. The 90s is my resistance. Even though we have this lower high here, that shouldn't really be worried about that because, again, we're looking at this as like a wave. Where are these waves at? All right, the wave up, wave down, and then guess what? We got a bigger wave to the upside here because, again, we go A. If you want to look at this like the Elliott wave, you got the B, you got the C. I don't know, do you even call that a C? I'm no expert when it comes to the Elliott waves, but in general, we always talk about one truth to the market. The market moves in waves, right? We go from here, we go from there, and we push back up. Waves. We're going in waves. Now, again, if we're looking, let's just focus on this morning. This can work for both stocks and futures. It's not just a futures thing. If I'm looking at that 3-minute time frame. Hey, if you guys haven't already, do me one big favor, hit that like button and the subscribe button down below. Leave a comment. What do you guys think about what we're talking about here in this video? Let's get back to the video. It's running, right? We're just running. We go from the 70s all the way up here to 95. That's a 25 handle move. That's a big move. That's a beautiful move. A lot of potential for a profit on this move. Now, let's just say for some reason I bought here at the 70s. I take a little profit there. The 80s, we keep pushing through. We push through that resistance in that area. Maybe up here, maybe in this area. Maybe this is my profit target. But again, if I zoom out here on the bigger time frame, right? We're just zooming out. This is not rocket science. This is not like some kind of indicator you got to pay for or anything like that. All I do is I zoom out here. Again, I bought here at the 70s. When I look at this, like I said, when we look at the 3-minute, this looks like resistance, right? Like this should be my resistance area. I should make profit. But guess what? We push above that 87 area. And guess what? There's that resistance we identified earlier by looking just at the 15-minute time frame. I've got the 15-minute, I've got the hourly charts pulled up behind me as well. So I'm looking for profit potential. Again, I like to see this push here. If you zoom out even bigger, get rid of these circles. We can see we gapped down the other night. We pushed back. This is a lower high, bam, bam, and guess what? Again, this morning, triple bottom. 3, baby. 3 touches on that area. So what should that tell me? That if we bounce here, if we bounce off the 65s, there's a very good potential this thing wants to push and keep that wave formation going. We got that wave here. Bam, bam, bam. And bam! It's not rocket science. It's really not rocket science. It's really not rocket science. And again, it's all about maximizing my potential. So here I am. I'm in a trade. Now, this probably wasn't the best entry for this idea here. This was just kind of a little bit different. Like I said, we saw that we had that lower high here. We had that bounce off the support here. So bang, bang. I was expecting a move on this up to this previous high. Now, again, if I look at the smaller time frames, right? If I look at the smaller time frame, we go back to the 3. A lot of people end up trading on the 1-minute chart, 5-minute chart. If I'm looking at the smaller time frame, okay, this was the lower high. This was the high from the morning. This was the low. This was our low in the morning. This is our higher low. So we got this going for us. We got a beautiful trend. We draw that line there. It's not rocket science. Again, it's never rocket science for us. We're just keeping it real simple. We see that we had a high there. We had that other high over there as well. So if I'm entering, I entered here. When we broke back, we had this little kind of downward trend. I kind of waited for that confirmation. We got the confirmation. I entered. My stop was here at the 77 area at the bottom of that candle. Now, that might seem like a big stop, right? That's a big stop in theory. So from the 85s to the 77, it's a pretty big stop. We're looking at a 7-handle stop, right, on this. But my profit target is above this high here at the 94s. So I got 10 handles. I'm looking at 10 handles there just to the high. But after that, like I said, if I look at the bigger time frame, guess what? I'm looking at this like, okay, check it out. on the bigger time frame, my entry here, my resistance here, I'm looking at this like this thing's going to squeeze above this, especially since we're going like this all morning. We bounced here, we bounced here, we bounced here. We got those bounces off of that triple bottom area. This is squeezing, right? We got the resistance, support, resistance, support. If we can't push above 95, obviously I'll take a little bit of profit at that point. But as you can see, we're up to 103. This is on one micro E-mini contract. I'm up from the 85s now above 100, up $73 on just one contract, people. I've had other multiple contracts. I already took profit. I took some profit here at the hundreds. I took some profit here at the 96, 97 area as we push through there, that resistance. So bam, bam. So there, again, it's all about maximizing my potential, my profit potential. Again, like I said earlier, if your win to loss ratio is 50, 60%, which it's not, like, again, it's not rocket science. You don't need to be an expert to have a win ratio of 50%. You don't. You could basically just roll a dice and buy at a support area, and you're probably going to end up making some profit on some trades. But what the issue is for most traders, also for me, this is always about me and you. It's not just about you. It's all, this is a partnership here. I'm making these videos not just for you, but also for me. But in general, if I'm buying here at the 84 and my stop's here, I'm risking 7, right? On that down. It's much easier, right? It's much easier for me to hold this trade as it drops down. It's much easier. So it's really simple. I could do this all day. You give me a trade, let me put a stop on it, and I will hold that baby till it hits the stop all day, every day, right? That's just how it goes. It's easy to hold your losers because you have a predefined area where you're like, okay, this 77, if we get out, we get out. We're getting stopped out, whatever, I'll take it. But to be able to be like, okay, I'm going to jump in here, I'm going to risk 7, I need to make sure I'm getting 14. I'm getting 16, 20 to the upside. Again, looking at this move earlier this morning, if I'm buying the dip here off the 60, 70 area, which we already identified on the bigger time frames, I'm getting 20 handles, 25 handles there. That's a beautiful risk to reward all day trade-wise. That's profit. Boom, 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 profit. That's profit all the way, right? And that's the big focus here, is maximizing our profits so that when we get into a winning trade, again, we're going back to the idea of having a 50% win ratio. When I get into a winning trade, I'm going to, even broken clocks are right twice a day. There will be winning trades. I will hit winning trades. But the problem for most people, for me as well, is I get into a winning trade, I get there in the 70s, I get out there in the 80s, and it runs another 15 handles. And obviously, it's always in hindsight, right? It's always hindsight. But again, why is it that I buy here, I take a small profit there, I get out there? Because I get scared, I'm not looking at the bigger time frame. It's much easier, again, to look at that bigger time frame and let myself know by looking at the bigger time frame, if I'm buying here, this thing has really good potential to push up to that high, that pre-market high there. It's got really good potential. If it pushes up there, there's my target. That's my profit, baby. Let's make some profit here. Again, let's make some profit here. Big profits. And I'm going to take small losses because it's easy to hold my losers over my winners. There's no doubt about that. But the more confidence that you have, the more that you see these setups happening, the more that you're like, okay, I'm buying here. I'm looking for a push to pre-market highs or higher after that. That's what it's all about. That's 30 handles. That's 30 handles. If you're trading with a micro contract, that's 30 handles. It's profit all day long, my friends. That's profit all day. And that's why it's so important to look at the bigger time frames. That's what I'm focused on right now. Maximizing my profit, identifying support, resistance. I can see support there. I can see resistance there. If I'm trading inside this range, I'm making sure that if I'm trading inside this range, I'm nailing those support and resistance areas. Obviously, there's going to be times where we're going to have like these. You're going to have these touches where, it's going to go from like this to this to this. And you're going to have these smaller waves inside of the bigger waves here. But in general, we're still following that wave idea, right? We're still following these waves. We're riding the waves. We're surfers of the market. We're trading the market, riding the waves along the way. And that's what I'm focused on right now, maximizing my profits. Because, again, if I'm 50% correct about my trades, right? I'm 50% correct. I'm risking 7. I want to make sure that if I'm risking 7 here, 7 handles, that I'm getting 10, 20, 15, 30 handles on the move up. I'm letting my winners run. And this also, like I said, can apply to penny stocks, all types of stocks there are. This is not just for futures. This is the idea that if I'm buying these dips, I'm getting these winners. How many times have you nailed a trade? You've nailed a trade where you've bought the bottom, but then you take profit. You take a small profit, and bam, 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 the trade goes way higher after that. How many times, I know this has happened to you guys because it's happened to me, and we're all on the same ship here, and I know that this is a problem, not just a problem, but it's like a psychological issue, because it's easy to take profit quickly, but it's hard to cut off your losers. It's hard to cut off your losers there. But what if we apply that same idea? Well, okay, if we're putting our stop here, we'll put our stop. If I'm putting my stop here, I'm buying at 70, I put my stop at 65, I'm risking 5 handles, right? I need 15, 20, 30 handles to the upside to maximize my profits. That way, I can, again, be right 50% of the time, wrong and right 50% of the time, but my losers are 5 to 7 handles. My winners are 10 to 30 handles or more, depending on how the market is that day. Like if this just keeps on going, I'm letting this one contract let it ride. I got my stop there at 89 now, so I'm already locking in 5, guaranteed 5 handles. I'm letting it ride because I think there's potential. If I look again at the big time frame, look at this. That's a big thing. Let me look at that big time frame. Where's our next resistance at after we get above this area, right? We got this. Oh my gosh, why is that thing so big? That's what she said, I guess. If I identify resistance through there, right? Where's my next resistance? It's here at the 105 area. After that, it's game on, baby. It's game on after that. So we're looking at that resistance area to push through. If we push through, by the end of day, this could be 10s, it could be 15s, 20s, depending on how the market reacts. We're green on the day. The trend is green. The trend is pushing higher. So let us ride. Let it ride. Let's get that potential profit. Because there's going to come days where you're going to jump in. Like you're going to buy the bottom here, and you're going to take a little profit for that gap fill, take a little profit, and then all of a sudden, you're going to be up 40, 50 handles. So all those losers that you've had, the 50% that you lose and win, those small losers are going to be eclipsed by that, just having that one last handle or that one last contract. So again, taking a little bit of profit along the way, having your target set. So if I'm entering here at the 80s, my target's here at 95, I'm taking a small profit there at the 95s, and I'm letting the rest run. If it wants to break above that resistance, I'm going to let it run, people. I'm going to let it go all the way here. We're going for home runs every single day, we're going for home runs every single day. Our batting average is 50%. We hit the ball 50% of the time. But when we do, when the bases are loaded, we go up, we hit a home run, and bam, bam, bam. Everyone's coming home. You know what I mean? That's what it's all about, and that's what we're focused on. And that's why the 15-minute time frame, or even a bigger time frame, a 30-minute time frame, for me, 15 kind of just makes sense because that's what I'm looking for. But in general, I need to be looking at that overall trend, maximizing my profits, maximizing profits. All right, so there you guys have it. If you enjoyed this video, do me one big favor. Hit that like button, the subscribe button, all the buttons down below, and leave a comment. What do you guys think about this strategy? What time frame are you focused on to identify your profit target and all of that? So leave a comment down below. I'll talk to you guys later on.